Okay, so today in my little comedy slot, I've been sort of alternating days. I'm going to be watching this first episode of season 1 of Curb Your Enthusiasm, but it's actually not the Curb Your Enthusiasm that has 12 seasons. There's like 2 entries, so I imagine they're different. This was like the precursor, I guess, Larry David Curb Your Enthusiasm from 1999, and then there's the 12 seasons of just Curb Your Enthusiasm, period. So I'm going to watch the first episode of the Larry David one just to give that a shot, and that's probably less well-known and more obscure, but it was probably obviously the basis on which that one was made, so this must have been successful. I don't know why they changed the name. They just took out Larry David's name from it. So what's my background with Seinfeld, or with Larry David? Obviously it's Seinfeld. I've seen the whole show. I do like it. It's probably the only comedy that I saw all the way through. Maybe the one observation I made about it, not that it's even a bad thing, but it's like, it's too much of just the character aspect. Like, it relies on the characterizations. Like, you know what this character is going to do. You know, Kramer's up to some zany, crazy thing today, or, you know, Jerry's up to his apathetic self, which partly was maybe inspired why that character is like that, because he's a bad actor, and so therefore he, you know, wasn't given that much to do. He's just like an apathetic, laid-back dude who's successful at comedy in the show, too. And then Elaine, and then obviously Elaine's doing her thing. She's kind of a tomboy who fits in with this group, and then George is very eccentric. George is like Woody Allen's characters basically in his movies. If you've ever seen those, you'll see the immediate inspiration there. Just the way he even talks, his tone of voice, that performance, I think they probably even said it, right, is very directly inspired by Woody Allen and all of his characters that he plays. And so Larry David maybe is part of that too. Like, he said maybe George was sort of partly based on himself. It was going to be like a George expose type of special thing where we see more of that, but I'm sure it'll be a lot of different things. I don't even know exactly what it is. It'll be like sketch comedy, just like random little bits without any context. Like, it's not going to have a organized story as much, where it's like, oh, you know, we're going to work today, and I don't know what it is. Just like a day in the life of Larry David, where he makes all these observations. Like, there's this one thing, comedians drinking coffee in cars or something like that. It's just like them just doing random stuff, probably. So that's what I imagine it to be. Again, I haven't heard it. I mean, you hear it has like a generally positive reputation. I almost have heard it in the same vein as like 30 Rock for whatever. I've never seen that either. I've never seen too many shows, period. So that's why I'm kind of doing this. But with this, we'll do a challenge where I'll watch it until it makes me laugh, which might seem unfair, and I'm already kind of laughing at the idea now, but I've been sort of alternating formats. So, first of all, I do every other day, right? I've been doing this while driving. Movie Critic watches, that's the perfect tie-in. Comedians drinking coffee, driving cars, or whatever, right? So it's like Movie Critic watching TV shows while driving. This has been a series that I'm doing while driving because I wouldn't have time to do it otherwise. I just don't watch TV shows, and I would never be able to do it. So one day I picked a main series, so like yesterday, I've been doing Sopranos. So the Sopranos I'm just watching, period, and just reacting to that. Then the next day, so every other day, is Sopranos, and then this day would be either a comedy or a horror series, how I've been doing it. And I guess we could even do a movie, but I don't like splitting it that way, like where I had to watch it over multiple sessions. Like even here, this one is an hour long, so I won't be able to watch the whole thing just like that, right, in one trip. It only takes me about an hour total. With all the intro and outro and stuff, it'll be too long, but that's fine. So the second day slot, where every other day I do either a horror or comedy, the first entry to the comedy section was The Big Bang Theory, which lasted 2 episodes, but that was the inverse of this challenge. So I'm also alternating that one. We were like, okay, we watch a comedy until it fails to make me laugh for an entire episode. So that one lasted until episode 2, and then it failed, so then we stopped watching. Now this comedy slot is going to be, I'm going to watch it until it makes me laugh. So it has to be a genuine, audible, legitimate laugh that I couldn't control. I'm not like trying not to laugh, but I generally am considered kind of desensitized where I don't really, you know, even Seinfeld, like I rarely laughed out loud. I might have smirked. That doesn't really count. It has to be a genuine, legitimate, full-on laugh, like audible, you know, just something that I couldn't really control or prevent, just unexpected, caught me by surprise. So Sheldon got me in episode 1 of The Big Bang Theory. He had a little good quip line. But, like, even when I'm thinking about Seinfeld, how much would Seinfeld have really made me laugh like that? I remember the Moyle made me laugh my ass off. He's like, whatever, he's doing the bris, and just that guy's acting was so unbelievable. But generally speaking, yeah, most of those wouldn't have made me laugh out loud either. Sometimes Kramer would do it, like he's singing the opera. Michael Richards is obviously somebody who I sort of softened on those 2 characters from sitcoms. when I was a kid and I saw them to whatever extent, I never liked Kramer. I thought he was trying too hard. I thought he was just kind of obnoxious and like, oh, he's this zany, predictable guy he's unpredictable. He's predictable in he's going to be doing something crazy again today. Like, he's just one of those stock characters that lets crazy stuff happen. And Phoebe from Friends too, I thought like, oh, she's trying too hard, or she's like, seems dumb and thick and this and that. But as I've grown older, I still don't really like Phoebe too much, but I respect how much talent goes into those performances, right? They're definitely the most challenging and talented performances because those characters are giving you so little to work with because they are just doing all this weird stuff and zany and crazy. So you have to give it so much substance, like Kramer's physical comedy and the whole Phoebe's deadpan delivery. Those are both iconic performances. Even though I didn't like those characters as a kid, I think I've grown to like Kramer quite a bit, even though I don't really like Phoebe too much now still. Yeah, I haven't watched too many comedies. I've seen How I Met Your Mother almost all the way through. And see, the one thing that shows like that do better is they have the drama, the romance, and they're still pretty funny in their own right. And so I haven't seen the whole thing, but I saw almost all of it, basically until the mother basically gets introduced, I think, around that. People hate the ending, but I do respect that show. That show has very good writing. It almost Woody Allen-esque with the narration and all that stuff. So that's a show that I like in a sitcom context. I've seen parts of so many sitcoms. Like I've seen, just as a kid, sometimes your parents would be watching it or just be on TV, like The King of Queens, where it's the most toxic relationship ever, where, this woman with Carrie with temper issues and she's so just toxic of a person ends up with this fat guy, with all due respect, because probably her personality is so terrible that's why she'd end up with him despite being so good looking or whatever. I'm being maybe vain, but it just seems like even the premise I can't really buy, but she's just like a horrible, horrible person and very irritating and whatever, but it's not necessarily a bad show. They're always fighting, arguing about random shit. And of course, Friends was accused of kind of copying the Seinfeld formula, but the one thing it does better too is the relationship angle, right? They go much deeper into that. That's one of the most iconic things ever. I remember seeing that on TV too, the big classic moment of Friends, the finale. I think I saw it when I was really young, but it was like a big deal, and I think my dad was watching it or something, and it's like, Ross and Rachel get together finally for the final time, and they'll probably break up again because they had such a tumultuous relationship, just like Robin and Ted. But remember, it always seems fine at first, love at first sight, and then they break up again, and then they get back together again. Like, you wouldn't be led to believe it's going to work out, so it's almost like some twist of fate thing, where it's supposed to be a sad ending, like the fact that Ted and Robin end up together is actually a bad thing, because they're doomed to fail again and they'll never find true love. That's the real implication, not that, oh, they finally get together now, right? That like Ted, this hopeless romantic, is cursed to a life where he falls in love with the mother and then she dies, and then he keeps going after Robin, which is a toxic relationship, and they keep having fights and they can never keep it together, so they'll never actually be happy. So a few months after that ending, they would probably just break up again and fuck it. But yeah, we're going to watch Season 1, Episode 1 of this one. Obviously, Larry David, Curb Your Enthusiasm. I imagine they're separate, like different. I don't know why they would combine. They have one with one season and one with 12. So I don't know why they would split the entries if, oh no, this will just be the same thing. Season 1 of that one, right? It's just a different subtitle, but it must be different. So we'll give it a shot, but yeah, that's the challenge here. So basically, we did the Big Bang Theory for that one, which I had never seen that. I mean, all the stuff I haven't seen. So that was watch until an episode fails to make you laugh, but this one will be watch until it makes me laugh, period. So if I laugh at any time, like in the way I described, then I stop watching and move on to the next series, which in this case could be the other Curb Your Enthusiasm, but it's not a knock against the show, and it almost seems like a bad way to do it, because it's like you're punishing the show for being funny, right? Saying, oh, it made me laugh, so now I'm going to punish it by not watching it. But whatever, I like doing these kind of different formats. It gives me some variety. And it's not even that I'm trying not to laugh, but maybe I will make a point to, just to make it harder or whatever. And if it's really not funny, then I could go on for a very long time watching it. I might end up watching the whole thing there. So you almost would hope, I hope it's not funny, so that he keeps watching. I don't know. But yeah, we went from, the other one seems to keep it more honest. During the course of an episode, they have to make me laugh at least once, otherwise I stop watching. That seems like a fair expectation, right? So we alternated that, and then the other format I also do in this slot. So basically, I went Big Bang Theory until that happened. Then I went a horror series until until an episode fails to scare me, right? And that one was the first episode of the Lovecraft Country or whatever, and that failed to scare me at all in the first episode of that, so then we stopped watching that. So now we go back to comedy, but now we switch the format to the other one where now I'll watch until it makes me laugh, and then after this we'll watch another horror series, and I'll watch that until an episode fails to scare me, rather than, I'll watch it, I'll watch until I get scared, rather, right? Then if we get scared, then we move on back to comedy, and we go back to the original format, which is obviously watch until an episode fails to make you laugh. So right now we're on the watch until, like, try not to laugh challenge, and see how long you can last, and then try not to get scared challenge. So if I laugh or get scared in these next two series, I'm going to stop watching. So this should be okay to do. That was quite the long intro, but it's kind of justified. But yeah, I have nothing against this kind of thing. I just, generally comedies are not my thing, and like I said, I don't find them funny. Or again, I enjoyed Seinfeld. Some of the most iconic moments, like Mr. Bookman, right, Philip Baker Hall, that's an iconic funny character that could potentially make me laugh, because it's a characterization, but it's so strong. Like, you know, he's a hard-ass book investigator, book cop, library cop, but they lay it on so thick and they write it in such great detail. You know, these kids deserve to be able to read books without getting their minds warped. Maybe that turns you on, Seinfeld, you and your good time buddies. Like, he's so committed. Even Seinfeld is laughing there, and it seems like maybe something they just couldn't control. Like, the character's not really meant to be laughing at that point. And so that one and the Moyle obviously would be a good one to consider. Right, just to say some of my favorite moments or favorite characters, I think Kramer would have potentially gotten me a couple times. But again, it's no offense to the show if I don't laugh. That doesn't mean it's bad, right? But it kind of suits me to do these kind of challenges because, I mean, we have the main slot one. So I'm watching one main series, The Sopranos, which is also partly a comedy. But this slot is meant to be sort of very flexible. Like, I want to see a variety of shows because I haven't seen like anything ever. Right? I've seen very few shows fully or even in part, so it gives me a chance to get variety. And of course, if it manages to subvert that, like if I don't laugh at all, then I'll end up watching the whole thing of this. But I think that's kind of unlikely, or I hope it's unlikely. So we're going to start from the beginning in 3, 2, 1, start. So we get the HBO Max logo, HBO Entertainment logo, music playing. We got subtitles and everything. Is it going to be like a host sort of thing where they talk about it in like a referential way? Or this will be like the whole thing meeting the executives from NBC or whatever from Seinfeld, where it's, this is the show about nothing and they're going to pitch it and do all this kind of stuff. I don't get it, though. Like, is it supposed to be taken literally, like, they're actually doing this, or... But see, I disagree with that, because... Yeah, I've never heard, what I'm saying about, this is like documentary style. It's going to be a little bit too much talking, so I can talk over it, but nothing here seems like it's going to be funny, but they'll probably get into it. They're just introducing it. But no, one thing I'll defend Jerry Seinfeld on is that... The one thing I'll say about Jerry Seinfeld is that, Larry David quit the show around like season 6 or whatever, right? Like a couple seasons before the show was over, and so Jerry was on his own with whatever the staff writers. So Jerry, without Larry, still had some of the highest rated episodes, some of the best episodes, and some of the best rated seasons. So don't tell me, oh, it was Larry David carried him. Jerry was more than capable of handling the load by himself. Now, Larry was a great asset, right? He was a great writer, but Jerry could hold the fort down easily without him. Don't try to say, oh, it was all Larry David, because he left the show. Larry Charles, but no, it's basically so what is the idea? I don't really get even entirely what's going on, but this self-referential thing is weird. Is that like all in his head? This is the idea. The show about nothing. Just watch the Truman Show of comedy. At least here they have little breaks. This will be a bit here. What's not to like? He's already laughing. Never been a gum guy. Wow, dude, you're gonna get me with that one. This is like live streaming before it became a thing, like on Twitch. Just say random shit, do random shit, show your 24-hour stream of your life, and people will like it. My 70-30-10 rule, 70-20-10, where, haha, funny, I said 110% because I'm stupid and don't know numbers. My 70%, like, record everything you do, everything you say, every idea you have, and 70% of them are going to be garbage, 20% of them are going to be good and can be turned into something good, and then 10% are going to be good on their own, right? The events that happen in your life or whatever is lagging a bit there, so it'll fuck up the timestamp, but it's, that's the principle behind it. The 10% will be good on its own, just stuff that happens to you or who needs a laugh track when they just keep laughing at their own shit? I'm sure they behave differently, though, because they know the cameras are there. Basic human psychology. Kind of like what they're doing right now. They wouldn't do it unless you were such a big name. They totally rehearsed all this and everybody else is laughing but me. You got a laugh track without needing one. Is this maybe just one episode? Like just a... Really? So if I went on YouTube and looked it up, I can't find Larry David anywhere before this. I think that's probably not true. There must be something, or he just wasn't that big of a comedian. But no, Jerry could easily hold it down without him. He had some of the best seasons, best episodes, so he could absolutely write without him. So don't give me that BS like, oh, Larry carried him or he was a better writer. He absolutely was not. Doesn't mean that he's bad or useless. Obviously, he was great, but Jeff Green, what are you, an NBA basketball player from the 2010s who dunked on LeBron James or whatever? He did play for the Boston Celtics. References are funny. You make a reference to something that people know, and that constitutes a joke. Asking for a little name drop reference. No, can you have your friend Jerry do it? Because he has real stature, unlike you. Talking shit about HBO on HBO. This makes it seem like a fake plot, like they're going through this, but it's also real at the same time, so I don't get it. Like, everybody from Seinfeld's going to do this as if to do him a favor. Like, obviously from Seinfeld, all the cast is going to do whatever they want. Do whatever he wants. You wouldn't hear that as much if they didn't have to get drunk to enjoy your humor in the first place. Or my favorite kind of comedy shows. How about hypnosis shows, since I'm so into psychology? You know, they hypnotize people, made them cluck like chickens or whatever, strip naked or something because they're whatever. It's hard not to talk over it. They're just going to talk the whole fucking time, but I'm listening. This kind of show is hard to react to, I guess. They just talk, kind of like me. This is totally a bit here. But he could be deterred because he left the show. What did he do after he left Seinfeld? He didn't do this for a couple years. What was he doing after season 6 or whenever he quit? I think it was season 6. These scenes are at least better for the pacing. Say you're a writer, though, too. Not just executive producer. What did you say? Now we won't know. Never watch it, not a fan. Good one. He's being honest. He maybe thought you were pitching him some idea. Here we go, dude. Now you won't take the reference. Fucked up his reference. That actually makes him look bad now that you're giving a reference from a dick. Is this his wife? Because she's way younger looking than him. Kind of like what Jerry did, the original Leonardo DiCaprio, where he was with this young girl, I can't remember her name, who's like in the fashion industry now. She was like some super young kid, underage kid. This is like borderline reality TV type stuff, which I've never been a big fan of. I wouldn't mind watching like What Would You Do from the beginning, but I don't know how you can find the really original. I want to see like the super early seasons of it. They hate you because you were so successful, so now they're kind of jealous of you or something. Bragging about Seinfeld, name-dropping Seinfeld. Nice word, dude. That's one of those techniques from Seinfeld where they just write, like, they find a word that's funny, like yearn. Do you ever yearn, George? And then they keep saying the word over and over because they think the word sounds funny, right? That's like a very common technique. This is totally how The Office is played too. The Office is like they do these interviews with people, right? Where it's like you'll see the characters going about their day, but then you'll see an aside where they are talking into the camera like that, basically. People would complain, oh, I'm talking too much, but I don't know what else to do. Like, this is how I do things, or this is how I have to do it for this format, because I'm driving, so I'm not going to be able to do a recap and talk later. I'm just talking as I do it. Like, that's it. Oh, here we go with the name incorrect joke. So maybe the waitress wasn't wrong. You didn't even talk a little bit, you just... Or was she not a waitress? She was just a person who happened to be there. Stop making so many mistakes, and then you won't have to apologize all day. So he's an insecure clown, but that's part of his charm, maybe? Yeah, Seinfeld's way better than you. I'm going to shit all over you in favor of Seinfeld. He's a better stand-up comedian. He's just as good a writer, right? He held it down without you. He didn't need you. You needed him. It's his show. It's named after him. Fuck you, dude. Don't try to name drop him when you're talking about, a reference for yourself. You can never give a reference for somebody else if you have to give a reference for yourself. Oh, I know the Seinfeld guy, and I'm recommending this other guy. No, you gotta be the guy. I'd rather be watching the Tress guy, dude. Oh, here he goes. It makes it feel like this is only just a one episode thing, but I don't understand really how... It said one season, but I don't know. Or maybe it should be... Yeah, it'll be like the moment that I laugh, too, I'll stop watching. Not even like the end of the episode. This laughter can be contagious, though. That's the whole trick. It's like a laugh track. There's the "you people" line. So stupid, man. Okay, that's a good joke at least. E too Brutus, even though that's not how it would have been used at the time. That was a good bit at least. It didn't make me laugh, but it made me smirk. How many smirks equal a smile or a laugh? Crush what? What do you mean, crush? Wait, that's it? That's all we get? That's like this little Seinfeld bits that you get at the beginning of episodes or something. It felt like a lot of episodes just didn't even do that. You see it sometimes, but they don't always... I don't know how they decided that. It felt like some episodes just wouldn't have that going on, but sometimes it would begin and end with that. Yeah, swearing doesn't make comedy good, that's for sure. Like, who is that? Richard Pryor would swear way too much. Oh, here we go. The vagina monologues. Replace every word, every adjective of the pussy. This is the same joke from The Sopranos, actually. They have this character named Little Pussy and Big Pussy or whatever, and they keep joking about that. Oh, I'm gonna get that pussy today. Not that pussy, the other pussy, my pussy. It's the same little bit there. Like, just, it's a funny word, I guess. These don't count as laughs because I haven't remotely come close to laughing. That Brutus line was pretty good, though. Brutus used the "to" part of it. The formal form of it. Everybody's getting on that point. Now he's trolling by saying the name wrong on purpose. How old must he be now? Like, is he still alive? I almost... Because he looks so old here, I'm just not even sure. Maybe, imagine how ironic would that be? Like, oh, he just passed away, like, last year. And so I'm watching it on the whatever because of that almost, but I'm not. I just couldn't decide what comedy to watch. Oh shit, I was just talking about people passing away too. Why? It's not about you, dude. It's somebody else's funeral. So what? How would you be at your own funeral? You won't show up to your own funeral because you're afraid of what people were going to say. this like a little bit. I was gonna die this day, but I didn't show up to my own funeral because I didn't want to hear what everybody had to say about me once I'm gone. Luna Park, just say kind of what's happening on screen, just to give you an idea of where we are. But this is not at all what I expected, honestly. I'm not getting that much George from this, though. I'm sure it did. Here we go, dude. I hope it isn't better humor, because I haven't found much here to see. This doesn't feel like candid at all, though. Like, just if you really did this, like, okay, you're a celebrity and you just go about your daily life and you put a camera on them and you keep all the you can still edit it down, but you keep all the interesting encounters that you have. So you really do run into this guy and he does this thing. But the difference here is it doesn't feel like that at all. I don't know what he's even talking about. The only Jonas I know are the Jonas Brothers. The other reference we would see here that they've talked about, we've already seen the You People, where he like looks from side to side. 28 days to concert, but isn't it already going on? What am I watching there if not? Or he's just practicing? You know what else I could do is I could watch something like Girls. That was the first series I watched actually for whatever reason, just because I like Allison Williams or something. Watching this series until I get aroused, until I actually get turned on by something, that could be an unbelievable one. And I'm laughing at my own thing there, but that doesn't count for the series. Watching like a romance or watching a drama until I cry, watching a romance until I get aroused or whatever. Like, well, man of a million formats. Bring in the Marines because you're not popular enough. Seinfeld would never have to bring in the Marines, dude. He'd need the Marines there to protect him against a mob of people who are coming to see him. That's what he would need the Marines for. I'm something of a senior myself, says Larry David. The Seinfeld apartments or whatever. He might have been behind it, but Seinfeld was in front of it. Oh, he doesn't like it. He doesn't want to be associated with Seinfeld? What's his objection, though? Why? But he didn't even list out your specific objection. Why didn't you like it? He's not going to like this either. He's trying out his little comedy bits. Just a regular curtain, nothing else. Oh, look at her being the optimist, though, in the face of rejection. Makes my job easy. Literally just a curtain. But why would they even mock that up? Just a curtain with his face on it? That's it? HBO's going to fall off a cliff, am I right? They totally won't be doing HBO Max 20 years from now. 25 years, paying $17 for ad-free content, even though you still get ads at the beginning of their own little shit. Oh shit, you can't make a joke like this. We're getting Hitler glorification in the first hour of the show. What is this, dude? You get canceled in this day and age. Larry's lucky he did this before Y2K. He's a big fan of Albert Speer, the guy, the architect or whatever. Who needs Bruno Gans when you have Larry David here? Not a bad voice, actually. I wasn't expecting him to be able to pull that off. I had to have pizza with my kids. That's a real sacrifice. He's gained some new perspective. This guy has a very cold, monotone sort of delivery. I wonder if he's just making that up or if he was supposed to. she's going to be mad at him now. What do you mean, what do you think this costs? What the fuck does that have to do with anything? Nothing has really been funny so far. There's like one decent joke, the Brutus one was at least clever. Good thing they're disguising it as a documentary because it's not really funny at all, but... That's usually what sexy means, yeah. You don't have to say it 3 times. I don't know who Molly Shannon is. Right, so I paused it there, but I thought that was like some sort of objection to just the nature of it, of the comedy. Like, oh, that's too dark. Not the fact that they just don't know whatever that story is. Okay, we're starting in 3, 2, well, not yet. Let me see. From 25 minus 2510. So we're starting from minus 2510 in 1, 2, 3. Start. No, fuck. Okay, we're starting from minus 2510 in 1, 2, 3. Start. So where he's telling like this dark joke about fucking people to death, and they don't know what he's talking about. That almost was a laugh. His heart exploded. The way he's telling this is so... The way he... You know what? Maybe I'll count that. Not because even I don't want to watch the show or anything. I genuinely did laugh at that. The way he's fucking describing that. Maybe it's because I took a break and then started watching again, so I wasn't expecting it. The way he said that... His heart exploded. Though he's saying it with such glee. He's getting fucked and his heart exploded. Just this guy's like sort of sick fascination with the story or whatever it is that he's telling. So maybe that's a legitimate one. It wasn't like a very strong laugh and it's not really the moment you would expect, but his sort of sick association with it is good. So it wasn't a particularly interesting episode or anything like that, but I'd be interested to look at now. So I'll count that. Okay, I laughed at him saying that. Let me watch it again at least to see. So his heart exploded. Like I'm thinking like fucking Cthulhu over here. His heart like exploded. Like, why would you say it like that? Like he's saying it with such happiness. Like he hates the guy or something. He fucking hates him. His heart exploded, dude. He said it so happily. Your wife's a good friend, but you don't even know this titillating gossip about her. His heart exploded. Just his glee in saying it made me laugh kind of again, too. This is like one of the... Not a very good reason to be funny, but it's like... Like, he just loves this story. Anytime her name comes up, 50-year-old guy... business manager she was engaged to. The way he says it, his heart exploded. Weird way to describe it. His heart exploded. It's more so this guy's just a sick fuck than it is actually funny, but I'll count that so that we'll stop watching this one. Maybe for the next comedy week, watch the other one, the other Curb Your Enthusiasm, but you get a laugh in a way that's not entirely expected. It's not so much the content of what he's saying, but the phrasing of his heart exploded and the glee with which he says it. Which, again, do you even deserve credit for this? Like, maybe of all the... Like, that could be a good test. Like, you have some sort of monitor. Have people watch this and see what moment they laughed to. Probably nobody has ever laughed at this moment. But I'm doing it for some other sick reason almost, just of how... You know, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but that was a very unexpected moment. Maybe like a sadistic... Yeah, tell me more about how his heart exploded and how he fucking... This is like a Brett Partridge moment, like... Yeah, when you spontaneously combust, the light in the room is like a little bit different shade of color because this guy burned alive in the room, and so his congealed human fat is all over the place in the air. So therefore, that makes the lighting feel a little bit different. Like that, not that really would make me laugh, but this is the kind of shit that he's getting into. So yeah, it wasn't a particularly great episode or anything. I wasn't really too interested in it. But no, I'd be interested to see whether there's multiple episodes. I guess the way to test it without having to go back is you go to the very end and then it would automatically play the next episode if there is one. That's typically how HBO Max works. Is it going to play the next episode, or is it going to say there is none, or is it going to... What is it going to do? It just ends, so I assume that's the only thing. So it says one season, which is still technically true, but it's also like only really one episode, right? It's like a special. And then maybe that's what turns into... the whole show overall, which is fine because, you know, we could check that in another sense, but the day after tomorrow for the same format, I'll actually do a horror show, so I'll watch the horror show until it actually scares me. But no, see, it happens when you least expect it. Nothing about that scene would make me think that you'd laugh there, but it even validates itself because then I watched it a couple more times and I'm still laughing my ass off. His heart, like, exploded. And you say it happily, like you're so, I don't know, you're just so enthusiastic and fucking upbeat about it that it is a little bit funny for that reason alone. But yeah, generally he wasn't too funny. He had the one joke about Brutus, but again, I'm not going to give him a sympathy laugh like, oh, that's kind of a cool joke, as if, you know, having good jokes isn't the whole point of this sort of thing. But no, this is almost like that The Office or some kind of 30 Rock type of style thing, where it would be like some sort of referential, whatever the fuck it is, where, I don't know how to even describe it, but it's sort of like talking directly to the camera, self-awareness. This is almost the show about nothing sort of joke that they said in Seinfeld, where now he's like doing it for real instead of executives from NBC, it's HBO executives, and it's kind of the sort of thing that wouldn't fly unless you had a certain amount of clout to chase around. And it shows you this kind of show is bad for this purpose because, you know, it may be more suited for a review. I'll do a review at the end, but not talk during. But it's like a case where you're basically able to, what do you call it, man? I don't know. It's a case where you're kind of talking over it because there's too much talking in between. There were a few segments where there wasn't, but generally speaking, like where he's waiting for the interview or something like that. But no, it wasn't particularly interesting on that level. I can't really give it a full grade because I didn't see the whole thing. But no, that series, I failed to try not to laugh challenge. And that's why I watched it again, too, to see, like, did it just get lucky? Because it wasn't really like a laugh. It was like an almost laugh, but I have to count that because otherwise we'll be here forever. And so I wouldn't say, oh, I did it on purpose to... Like, I didn't expect it. So I made a sound that resembled a laugh, kind of lightly, but not a full laugh. That almost shouldn't count, but I will count it, like I said, because I went back. But they shouldn't get the benefit of that. Like, I wasn't sure. I'll count it, because otherwise, again, I'm never going to do, like, a full-on laugh more than that. So that's okay. So then again, tomorrow would be The Sopranos again, but then the day after that I'll do a horror series until I get scared. And so basically it means we'll watch the whole thing because I'll never get scared, of course. So you have to get genuinely scared, whether it's like a jump scare, whether it's like a, reflex, you move back, something like that. There would be some element that you're certainly considering the capability of being able to do that, because and then once that's over, which again it probably never will be, but once that's over, then because that's the thing, I genuinely would watch like the whole thing. That's how we're doing this, like every other day. So right now we're at episode 7 of The Sopranos, so that's been going on for, you would think it would only have been going on for like 12 days because every other day I do it, but actually it's been more because some of them have been like, I'm still doing it every other day, but some of them have been doubles because I can't get through an episode because mainly it's because my stupid phone thing keeps falling down. Like I have like a air vent holder for my phone, and it falls down, ouch, and then I have to stop and restart, and then it ends up wasting time. Or just because an intro or outro or whatever is so long that it ends up taking up too much time. And of course my recorder keeps falling down too. This is the most scuffed, fucked up setup for anything that you've ever seen in the history of humanity, which it might not be that bad if I had this is like a comedy of errors right here. Funnier than anything on the show here, but the point is that if I had like a lapel mic, that might help a little bit with the background sound, but also all the mics that I tried to get. I got one from like Walmart online or Amazon online, and I waited like 2 weeks for it because there were no lapel mics in a local store that I could find, right? Nobody apparently has them, so you have to order it online. Then it took like 2 weeks, and then it ended up not working because you need like a special kind that has like a TSR, whatever the fuck kind of little circles and grooves on it, so this one doesn't have the right ones. So whatever, dude. It's gonna end up breaking my fucking phone though because it keeps falling off this thing, right? Like it hasn't done it at all today, but somehow sometimes it just will. And so yeah, I'm not even like shitting on it, but it was a weirdly paced episode, weirdly told story. You can't tell how much of this is being taken seriously. It doesn't feel like it's obviously real. It's not like candid camera stuff. They're still playing to the camera. That's just basic psychology. Like you only get somebody's honest reaction when they're not on camera, or when they don't think they're on camera, at least. And so, or like when a recorder's not in front of them, because I never do face cam with anything I do, but I always do recordings. But no, with respect to this series, it's like, it bridges the gap into some sort of reality TV type thing. And of course, Curb Your Enthusiasm has gone on for 12 seasons. And it even said new episode, like when you go over to look, like, on HBO Max. So how could there be a new episode? How could it be going on from 2000 for 12 seasons and still have new episodes? Maybe they had a hiatus and then they came back. Because if it was 12 seasons, it would have ended in 2012. But yet it has a new episode, like, fucking, 24 years later. So I don't get how that works, but they must have taken breaks. I think like SpongeBob, I saw that for some reason, like, it's like that. It has only X number of seasons, but it's been out for like 20 years or something, so obviously they took a break, so the number of seasons doesn't match the number of years since it came out, right? 1 year they wouldn't have one, then the next year they'd come back. For whatever reason, they might have had some issue doing that. Yeah, what's interesting is the first episode ever of this I did. Like, let's kind of recap just overall then. And I'm not sure what I would watch the next time. We could do the other one for the next comedy one, but we'll have to find like a horror one to do. I was going to do American Horror Story, but then it's like, that's not on HBO Max. I don't want to subscribe to a million different ones of these, but it's got to be an actual good horror series, or like I'll look up what's the scariest one or whatever. But the point being that I started off with girls, because I started off, first of all, just doing a couple intro sessions, like a whole hour worth of me just, let me decide what to watch, let me just introduce the format, blah, 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 because I couldn't decide, and I kept thinking I was going to decide, like, while driving, and I would just click on something, but it's kind of hard to do that, and it was distracting, so I did, like, maybe 2 sessions of just full-on intro, and then I did Girls Season 1, Episode 1, and so it had, I was doing that, like, watch until I get bored, so basically the second episode, and I I guess we didn't get bored like anywhere in the middle of it. We just sort of, they're talking about sex too much, and then the episode's over. So like they're overemphasizing sex and kind of relying on it too much, whether it's supposed to be funny or interesting or whatever, provocative, arousing or something, whatever it was not. See, that's what I mean. Like Allison Williams' face would get me more than anything else, the nudity and stuff like that. I'm more of a face guy, or I'm a more simple things. But I don't know. It's like I don't know. That one we watched till we got bored was the format. Then after that, I might have done that on back-to-back days actually, because I wasn't sure what to watch at the time. Right? I didn't have The Sopranos going at that time, so I did Girls episode 1 and 2, and then I think I started maybe The Sopranos after that, and then I did like all kinds of other stuff. Like now I've done The Big Bang Theory, and then I've done like, so that one lasted 2 episodes as well. Maybe 2 is like the magic number. Not for this one though, because this only lasted 1. But that, in a way, that's kind of a good thing. Like, oh, it made me laugh, even though it didn't seem like it was going to at all. Like this whole, that's what this episode did. Seem as unfunny as possible, so you let your guard down, and then it makes you laugh to something totally unexpected that really has nothing to do with anything. And I kind of talk a little bit loud here too, because I'm trying to project it over the sound of the car, which is kind of hard to account for. But maybe we'll get a lapel mic sometime this century, and then we can obviously do something else. Like, well, it'd be the same thing. It'd just like be a little bit less sound competing against it or something like that. But now you basically get in a situation where where you're able to basically, I don't know, you're basically looking for a horror series to do. So yeah, we had started with Girls, Watching Until I Get Bored challenge, and that lasted 2 episodes. And it ended because, too much emphasis on sex and relying on that too much. It's a show about girls. It doesn't mean it has to only do with sex, but it's almost demeaning to women in that way. And then, and when I went to post all these, I've gotten very few views overall, which I don't expect to be, I didn't expect. But I have, between all the videos I posted, like basically each of these reactions, I have 2 likes or dislikes, and they're both dislikes, and one of them is for the Girls episode 1, and one of them is for Sopranos episode 3, right? Probably because I'm eating at the beginning of that one, and probably just because of the overall awkward car background stuff in the Girls one, maybe just the odd format of it. Or in this day and age, people are spoiled by the fact of being able to watch with the video in there. Like, even if you cut it down and highlight it, like I'll show certain parts of the thing, I don't actually do that. So like I only show the timestamp and stuff. I don't mind doing it for like a particular clip or something if I have like a special moment, like a notable reaction moment, but you definitely are not able to do it in such a way that I wouldn't do it for like the whole thing or even for a significant segment. But no, what's interesting with the first episode of Girls is it has the background talking of the show in there, right? But I didn't get any copyright or anything issue for that. So maybe I could show a whole show with the audio only, competing with my audio, competing with the car. So I could have the audio play and it wouldn't get copy striked, because this isn't the kind of thing that people normally do, unless there's like a song or something. But you have the characters' voices in there, so you're listening to it like an audio book, whatever type thing that you can hear. Kind of like what I'm doing, because even though I can see the video out of the corner of my eye, because I'm also driving, I'm mostly listening more so than watching, but I'll keep glancing over and stuff like that. That's how this format will truly end. If I'll end up getting in a car crash because I'm distracted by something. But no, it's basically like we did Girls episode 1 and 2 till we got bored. Then we got bored in episode 2. Then Sopranos, I just introduced period as a series just to watch. Like I didn't have a format for that. And then so that I'm still watching. Then we did like The Big Bang Theory, watched till an episode failed to make me laugh, so that would be episode 2 that failed to make me laugh. Then something else happened, like then we did the horror series, which was or at least what I thought was a horror series, like Evil Lives Here, but then that also I didn't do anything with. right? Like, whatever, elitist victim blamer type thing. Oh, and then I watched Quiet on Set until I got triggered by ex post facto justification, and I'm laughing my ass off at the nose. They extrapolate on the nose, a kid with a big nose sneezes on somebody's face. It's like a cum shot. Like, give me a break, dude. Even if you think that was his intention, even if he said that was his intention, like, that's a big stretch. Like, to what, you can't do physical comedy? Like, I'll have a moment where I have a character throw a pie in somebody's face, and then they lick it off, and something, and that's like a cum shot on their face. Like, come on, dude. It's like that's like a classic comedy moment. Like a character throws a pie on somebody's face, and you expect the character to be mad, and they are at first, like, oh, how dare you do that to me? But then they lick off a part of it too, the character who got pied basically in the face, and they think, hey, that's not bad actually. So that's the joke. It's like, first of all, it's just funny. Oh, look, he pied somebody in the face, but also the fact that they're bothered by it. But then also the fact that they kind of, may as well try it since it's on there. Like, that's so dumb to say that as anything else. And again, don't blame Dan Schneider, blame the network overall, which is like, they approved all this stuff, whatever it is, so they obviously didn't think it was bad, or innuendo or anything at the time. And some things are kind of like inside jokes, but it's, I don't know.